we were discussing how the voice calls can be routed, and we specially focused uh, its procedure for our country. And when the voice calls are established, I said that on cellular network, we get the technology switched to 3G first, and then the calls are made. After the calls is over, you may again be put back to 4G. The messages that help establish the call, uh, which also includes the phone number, will show in experiments in the cellular communication course. We have a tool which can capture the messages uh, from live calls. Will be capturing the messages, and for all different types of operation. Okay, it's not only for voice call, for other types of data sessions also. We'll demonstrate how things work, showing the captures. Will explain how the different messages help establish the uh, call and the sessions, and negotiate different things. Like, just let me give you an example. For GSM, we say that there is a particular 200 kilohertz chunk that is allocated, and a particular time slot within the 8 time slot TDMA frame, a particular time slot is allocated for a voice call. So we can show using the tool. 2G we don't have now, but I have some 2G, I mean long ago. I also had this tool then with me. So I captured some 2G calls on Grameen network. So from there I can replay those files, and I can show you that when the call is established, the network sends a message to the user that you are allocated this 200 kilohertz chunk, and on that, this particular time slot number, the time slot numbers, I mean, it is numbered from 0 through 7. So it gives you a time slot number. Okay, so from on the real calls, I will show you that these things are allocated. Okay, so it actually, the practical demonstration help you feel more confident that what we are discussing is really the case. Okay, exactly the same way things are working. Okay, so anyway, for now we will stop our discussion on the voice calls, and we'll begin now. We're talking about the data services. I mean, how the data calls are routed. Well, in this case, you were connected to different ISPs. Okay, so if you are using the cellular services, then that's your ISP. If you are connected to a broadband connection, then it's your ISP. And this ISP at the back end is connected to what we call in our country IIG. IIG means International Internet Gateway. In the past, there are only two IIG. The government-owned BTCL and Mango. Later, government issued many IIG licenses, like they did for IGW, ICX. Okay, so many licenses were issued later, and we have now so many IIG companies. So IAG is connected to the internet cloud, but how it is connecting? Okay, so it is connected, and for this connection, there are three different choices of medium. Okay, how it is connected to the internet cloud, and through this medium, it is connected to tier 1 or tier 2 level of ISPs. I mean, these are international operators. And through them, I mean, the it is connected to the internet backbone. Now, these three options of medium are submarine cables, satellite,
Sir, you're breaking up.
and uh, sorry, is there any question? Is there
Sir,
any?
you're breaking up.
Oh, really? Okay. Internet connection is may not be working well. Uh, let's see.
Yes, you're showing that host
Mhm.
but bandwidth is low.
Okay. Give me a second. In a couple of minutes, I think I can switch to mobile data. Okay, let's see how it goes now. You see the screen, IAG, International Internet Gateway. You see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the way IAG is connected to the international internet operators uh, are shown here, and you can see that there are three options. Okay, so these are the mediums for the connection: the submarine cable and satellite communication, and ITC, international terrestrial cable. Um, in the early days of internet in our country, satellite was the only option, and then the term VSAT was also pretty common at different premises. People used to set up small uh, dish antennas for satellite communication and internet connection. later, the other two options came up with submarine cable. People uh, could start enjoying the high data rate. So we'll talk a little bit more about these options. Uh, we are now connected to two different submarine cables, and for submarine cables, I think you know that these are optical fiber cables laid under the sea, and uh, a number of networks are formed there, um, which have worldwide connection. I mean, each of the network has a very good range of connection, connecting several continents. Okay. Um, the two networks that we are connected to are shown here, SMW4 and SMW5, Southeast Asia, Middle East, Western Europe. So from the name suggests that we are all the way connected through Middle East. It's all the way connected to the Western Europe, and in this way, in Southeast way, in this way, it goes through to Singapore and Malaysia this way. Um, so the history is like in 1990s, Bangladesh first received an offer to get connected to these submarine cables, but Bangladesh did not accept that proposal.
Sir, for
And
free.
yeah, for free. It's amazing.
Why?
Okay, by the way, can you hear me? Do you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Now, sir,
Okay,
it's better. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
it
sir.
sir.
is better. Okay.
Sir, it was free. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. And this was, I mean, this type of chance will never be available again. Uh, I mean, in those early days, I mean, people are then first developing the network, and for a, I mean, country like Bangladesh, okay, there is a good consideration, and so Bangladesh, the economic condition Bangladesh was, I mean, uh, not as good as it is now, and
Yes,
so
sir. That is why, sir, they will take
this
what is free, sir.
yeah this was a very good opportunity for Bangladesh. But what
Oh my
happened then
God.
was very interesting.
Yes,
Bangladesh
sir.
government, okay, was confused. I mean, Bangladesh government thought that it might breach security if we are connected this way. Then that, I mean, the lack of technical understanding was the only reason
Exactly, sir.
to reject this kind of
Allah.
great offer. Okay. The free connection is a very good opportunity for Bangladesh, but just because of lack of technical understanding, okay, lack of technical understanding, and this thing you will also experience in your life at different stages. I have seen closely the level of understanding of the people at BTRC, okay, in conferences. Uh, I mean, very, really, very poor. And that's how they are very bad policymakers. In a lot of cases, they make uh, wrong decisions. Okay, it's not always because of corruption. It's also because of lack of technical understanding. So
So, like, that's like, sir, they're basically plain stupids. It's
yeah,
like they
yeah,
don't know,
right. I mean,
like,
in this case, there was no game of corruption, just because
so
of,
it's just a pathway for a wire to go
yeah.
through.
And Bangladesh could have, I mean, the next opportunity Bangladesh got after 16 years. Bangladesh got connected to internet, and that's how Bangladesh could start using a mature level of internet. from 2006. Before that, I mean, just it was just any struggle. It was just struggle for people internet connection. So anyway,
So it's like we are like we intentionally backed ourselves 16 years for absolutely no good reason.
let me tell you,
Yes, sir.
3G for 3G license, how
Yes,
long
sir.
we delayed? Do you know?
No, sir. I don't know,
It
sir.
it
Please
was
tell us.
it was 12 years. Bangladesh
Oh
is
my
issued license
God.
12 years. But what Bangladesh government was required to do? Just to give permission. The
Yes, sir.
operators themselves would invest, would build the
Yes, sir.
infrastructure, and
Exactly.
uh, deploy 3G. And also, the operators would pay lots of revenue for 3G operation. Okay, so what is it's not say when you give license for 3G operation or some wireless operation and allow some spectrum for use, you don't use some, I mean, you don't use up your mineral resources. You don't
Exactly, sir.
use your fossil fuel. It's not like your oil, coal, or gas that is
So,
just used up, right? You
so
just
it's
give
just quick
permission to
access to
use.
information, sir.
We give allow people to use the air for wireless
Internet.
communication. What is what is the
Yes, sir.
loss? There is nothing that the government has
Nothing,
to
sir.
okay, nothing without any
Alhamdulillah.
cost. You just allow, and then you can get a lot of money. I mean, uh, on one hand, um, the whole country would be able to use the high data rate, okay, and that also has a very good impact on the economy. That is the first advantage, that when you allow, I mean, when you make good policy, then or you allow the people, the operators, to use uh, wide spectrum, then the uh, citizens, or I mean, in the whole country, people can use uh, high data rate, okay, and there will be, I mean, economy can actually have some positive growth out of that. On the other hand, the government authority, BTRC, who is making the policy, will also get millions of dollars as revenue. Okay, so very good revenue could also be earned. So Bangladesh was losing both ways, and even these days, what is the problem? If you make a policy such that the operators can get much wider bandwidth, then at this moment
Exactly.
we could use, now I'm using mobile data, but and
Yes, sir.
my data rate could be a lot better. Okay,
Yes, sir. Sir,
and
Bangladesh is like the second or the third worst
yeah,
mobile data
the
speed in the
only
world.
reason is the bad policy. You know what? In USA,
Yes.
if if you look at the spectrum use, their authority is called FCC. So
Yes, sir.
their spectrum was always full, was always so much occupied with different types of uses. Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
when for mobile communication came up, they I mean, different parts they emptied, they managed different parts and then again allocated. So lots of bandwidth they allocated, although they are so, I mean, their spectrum use is so crowded. And in Bangladesh, it is all empty. What do we use it for? Mostly our spectrum is left idle, and the authority is very miser. They don't, I mean, barely, I mean, they allow 5 megahertz,
Sir, they're
or
kind of like those
as if the, yeah, as if I mean, the
বাচ্চা
authority
কাচ্চা
is
খারাপ হয়ে যাবে স্যার ইন্টারনেট ইউজ করলে।
as if he is giving this spectrum from his pocket, the way they behave.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So
yes,
the
sir.
policymakers, I attended a conference where the operators were trying to explain that if you, I mean, if your policies are like that, we can afford it. Okay, this wider bandwidth we can afford, then the country will be benefited. But these guys don't understand. Uh, so what do you need for higher data rate? Now you know from Shannon's capacity. I mean, better better technology and good SNR level. And the third thing is bandwidth. These are the three things that affect your data rate. Your data rate expense depends only on these three things. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
the technological level, with 4G and all that, it's pretty good already. Okay. Or I mean, there is also a scope for improvement. And SNR condition also depends on the quality of radio coverage. But the bandwidth, if you make double, the data rate will be I mean, eventually it will be more than double your experience. Okay, because you fulfill the baseline requirement, and then for other requirements you'll have more and more bandwidth available. So anyway, just uh, uh, I mean, it's a in time. You may join uh, our policymaker authorities. Okay, and things may change.
So let's pray
Okay,
for a better future. Yes, sir.
yeah. So anyway, so Bangladesh started receiving this internet connection through optical fibers from 2006, and they got connected to SMW4. The landing site is at Cox's Bazar, and we have 200 Gbps bandwidth in this part. So Bangladesh had to spend $5 billion there. Okay. Uh, Now, our current requirement, I'll show in the next slide. I mean, uh, I mean, in a slide shortly. So current requirement is much higher, much higher. So new satellite, I mean, new submarine cables will be uh, uh, connected. I mean, we have another one, and also a third one will be connected. But also for the present connections, some capacity enhancement is in process. So these enhancements are possible because in those networks, some bandwidths have been left idle. Okay, I mean, it is used by many different countries, and after the coordinated use, some bandwidth is now available. It is left idle, and there's a I mean, scope for Bangladesh to get hold of that, and Bangladesh is going to do that. It will enhance capacity on this SMW by 600 Gbps. It will by another 600 Gbps. So it will become 800 Gbps, and that should happen by the next year. Then in 2007, Bangladesh got connected to the second submarine cable, SMW5. The landing site is at Kuakata.
Sir,
And
one small question.
yeah,
Sir, so instead of getting it for free, we paid 5 billion for the same thing.
right, exactly.
So no
For
wonder we are a third world country, very poor country.
right,
There is a
right.
reason for that, sir.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, it's a matter of pity, definitely. Okay. And if we had I mean, had any other reason, I would not be that surprised. But the reason is so funny. Okay. Anyway, so for the second cable, we had to pay 6.6 billion taka, and 500 Gbps was pretty good capacity when we got this connection, but now it is no longer good. Okay, we need a lot more. And so Bangladesh also has some scope to increase the capacity on this submarine cable. And that is also going to happen by the next year, inshallah. And it will add another 100 Gbps. So it will become 200 and 2500 Gbps capacity on this submarine cable in the next year, inshallah.
So is it
Then the
because so
third
that online classes can take place better?
it's, well, you know what, it is not only
Yes,
how you have the um, how you how much capacity you have on the main highway. It's also
yes, sir.
how much capacity you have on the branches,
Internally. Yes,
right?
sir.
So if you think of the mobile data and all that, if you don't
Yes,
have I mean a good increase in the capacity here, then it
yes,
will
sir.
not help. I mean, the increase there will not help. So
Yes, sir.
there has to be all the way. So like you have your water flow at the tap at your washroom. Okay, depends on your water flow capacity of the whole system up to the tank. Okay, so it depends on the whole path. Anyway, the third connection Bangladesh will hopefully get by the middle of 2024 with SMW6. Okay. The process is going on, and here Bangladesh will need to spend 6.93 billion taka, and the capacity here will be 7,200 Gbps. I mean 7.2 tera bps. Okay. So that is at this moment again pretty good. Okay. Now let us see how much we really consume. Okay. Well, in at the end of 2019, the total consumption was, I mean, 1.5 years back, the total consumption was 1300 Gbps. Okay, with 900 Gbps from this submarine cable and 400 Gbps from ITC. By the way, I need to talk about ITC. Maybe I talk a little bit about that. ITC is again optical fiber, but instead of using it under the sea, it is laid over the ground. So I mean terrestrial installation, and it is installed along with the power lines. So with ITC, we purchase internet from India. Uh, so there are actually, I mean, we also have exchange of power with India. But anyway, so the terrestrial lines, okay, are used here and within our country. I mean, there are these optical fibers in much of the areas are laid along with the power lines I mean, these are overhead cables. And also, of course, in some places, it's uh, I mean, underground cable. Well, there are 6 ITC operators in our country, and the largest two are Summit Communications and Fiber at Home. They bring 450 Gbps and 240 Gbps, okay, via ITC. In fact, Summit Communications also works as an IAG, and they also provide internet connection via submarine cable. Okay, but I did not show their capacity almost 400 Gbps they bring via submarine cable. But I didn't show that figure here. It's just what they bring over ITC. Okay, and few other operators you can see who bring internet over ITC. So it's all
So
purchased from
do
India.
do they supply the bandwidth to
Mhm,
the
mhm.
to the internet service providers that we take the internet from.
Yeah, I mean, they basically they are connected to IIG, and
Okay.
then ISPs are connected. I'll show you these
To them. Okay. Okay.
connections at different tiers. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Um, so so we have three options. Okay. This terrestrial cables, submarine cables, and satellite. Mhm. In the past, satellite was a backup option in many cases. So especially when we had only one submarine cable, that was a long period from 2006 through 2017. Okay. So in the case of submarine cable, sometimes it happens that there is some fault or cut in the submarine. Then it takes uh, a while to repair. Okay, because ship goes to the place and identify the problem and fix it. Sometimes it takes a week or even couple of weeks. Okay. So there is a matter of time when you need some backup services. So I remember when we had only one connection, and Mango had good satellite services as backup. Then we didn't have any ITC. So it was only one submarine cable and satellite. So Mango, the IAG, private IAG, had pretty good support on satellite. Uh, so anyway, nowadays the use of satellite for internet has become much narrow, but some private organizations, they have their own connections using VSAT, okay, secure own connections they maintain. So we have two options, submarine cable and ITC, mainly. Okay, satellite has limit, considering the limited use of satellite. So now I'm showing you how the bandwidth is split between the submarine cable and ITC. At the end of 2019, okay, if let's look at 2017. At 2000, in 2017, the total consumption of our country was 550 Gbps. In 2018, it grew to 950 Gbps. See how fast things are changing. At the end of 2019, it became 1300 Gbps. Okay, and I have a breakdown of this 1300. Roughly 900 Gbps came through submarine cables, and the rest 400 from via ITC. Okay, so that was the case then. Now, at this moment, it has grown to 2650 Gbps, roughly. Okay, so very good increase. Okay, almost double in 1.5 years. And one of the reasons from the experts is the effect of COVID situation. People are using lot more online services, and so the COVID has a good impact on this tremendous growth of bandwidth consumption of Bangladesh. Okay. And out of this 2650 Gbps, roughly 1550 Gbps come from submarine cable, and the rest 1100 Gbps comes via ITC from India. So that is the current situation. Um, and let me just tell you that Bangladesh also exports some small bandwidth to another end of India, uh, Tripura, and that is 10 Gbps. Okay. Since 2016, Bangladesh has been exporting this small band.
So why is this? Why is this small
Because
amount?
India, if you look at the um, shape of their land area around our country, then you'll see that in the side west and east, okay, of our country does not have a I mean straight connection. Okay, and so their power supplies to this area and um internet connections, and also even their routes for their business purposes. All these things could be actually better facilitated if they had connection through our country. But I mean, they actually they cannot do that, right? So but
Yes, sir.
I mean, it could have been actually a lot more easier for them. So this small bandwidth is helping to some extent actually to provide service to their other side. Okay. Uh, a, I mean, quick comparison between these two, submarine cable and ITC. That submarine cable often needs repair, and then it takes a while, as I said, that the fixing can take a while. So you have some disruption of service then. But
Sir, one small
ITC,
question.
yeah, sure,
Sir, in the previous page, sir, you gave us a very current data
yeah,
regarding the 2021
right,
bandwidth usage, sir. So
yeah.
where from can you money collect such data and what
In
are the money
fact,
authentic sources?
I update the students with current data in all my courses.
Exactly, sir.
I
Exactly,
try
sir.
to do that whenever I
Yes.
provide data. I try to provide the present data. I mean, these slides I update every year. Okay. When I discuss the technology, I try to discuss the cutting edge technology, what is currently used in our country. You know what, I used to offer some I mean, this wireless related, I have been offering this type of courses uh, in both undergrad and postgrad levels. So at uh, some point of time I used to cover 2G technologies. Okay. And I remember that in one postgrad course, in the whole 3 credit course, I covered only 2G because we had only 2G operation then in our country, and there was no sign of uh, imminent 3G issuance of license. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I used to cover only 2G. Then when 3G came in, and I started covering only 3G. Then only 3G I used to cover in the same postgraduate course. Throughout the whole course I covered only 3G. Then 4G came
Yes.
in, I started covering 4G. Now I cover 5G. I mean, it's a mixture of 4G and 5G. And in the case of 5G,
Yes.
unlike the previous migrations, the basic platform is unchanged. Okay, the 4G
Okay.
platform is again kept in 5G. Okay, so I discuss also 4G, and the basic platform from 4G. I also discuss in detail in the cellular communication course. So as the uh, use in the world, okay, not only of our uh, context of our country, the context of whole world. The way it is changing, I try to uh, update, okay, in the courseworks. Okay. So these things, let me tell you, mostly I search uh, different news portals, different government websites, many different sources. I try to collect every year. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. And so this thing for submarine cable, as I say that I mean, you may require some repair, but for ITC, either I mean, first of all, you don't have that many uh, problems or faults. Okay, and if there is any fault, you can quickly fix it because it is overhead line, so easily accessible. Okay. So now you know, I mean, the satellite I mean, typically don't require as the backup service. So when there is some uh, fault in the submarine cable, ITC works as a good backup, and that is why actually government went for ITC. Okay. Uh, Now we'll show you how the different levels of internet operators are connected. Uh, we are first connected to tier 3 level of ISPs. These tier 3 levels, tier 3 ISPs are connected to tier 2 ISPs. Okay. And tier 2 ISPs are connected to tier 1 ISPs. Sometimes there is a little confusion about whether it is tier 2 level or tier 3 levels. Okay. But tier 1 ISP levels are fixed. Okay. These are very large operators and they form the main internet backbone. Uh, so some names are given there, AT&T, Sprint. Okay. So mostly US operators, and they their connection is mesh type. I mean, every tier 1 ISP operator is connected to all other operators directly. Okay. And this mesh connection uses a very nice negotiation. Like they don't charge themselves. Okay. So they charge others. Tier 2 ISPs are connected to tier 1 level ISPs. So for these connections, they have to pay whichever tier 1 ISPs they are connected to. Okay. And that's how the tier 1 ISPs make money, providing service to the tier 2 level ISPs. But it has to be a whole network completely connected to each other. So how they are connected? Actually, the mesh connection among the tier 1 ISPs is forming the basic internet backbone. Okay, so that's how anyone can be connected to anybody else in any part of the world. So for tier 1 connection, as I said, that it does not charge. I mean, it's free of charge, and this is called. I mentioned it somewhere. Mm, there is a name of this operation. Um, okay. Okay. Anyway. Uh. Anyways. So it's a this peering agreements. Yeah. This. I think there was another term I forgot. But anyway, this peering agreement, free and reciprocal peering agreement, is what they use for their connection among themselves. Okay. So. Uh, so they form the basic internet backbone. Okay. And it has to be very, very, very high speed connection. And so tier 2 ISPs get connected, and when you take connection from tier 1 ISP or any upper level ISP, it is not only bandwidth, it is also a range of IP addresses. Okay. So for example, when a tier 3 ISP purchases internet from tier 2 ISPs, it purchases two things. First, some bandwidth in terms of Mbps or Gbps, whatever. Okay, so this much bandwidth, so it will be able to use for routing the packets. Secondly, a range of IP addresses will be given by the upper layer ISPs, and this tier 3 ISPs will allocate these IP addresses to its users. Okay, so like I mean, as we are connected to Grameenphone network, the Grameenphone network has allocated some IP address to my device. Okay. So tier 1, then tier 2 ISPs, then tier 3 ISPs. Okay, from tier 3 ISPs, again, some local level of ISPs may get connections and provide services to the end users. Okay. Uh, so a packet passes through many networks. Okay, as you can see here. So you don't know, but it is actually going through many different ISPs at many different tiers. Okay, so as you can see here, so it will route through many different routers. Okay, I'll show you later. I mean, if you on the command prompt, if you type in ping, okay, then the you can see how many hops a dummy packet will be sent, and you can see how many hops it takes on the way.
So,
Okay.
sir, our local ISP can take it from both the tier 3 or the tier 2.
Right. It depends. It depends on how big your local ISP is.
So, sir, if I take it from a local ISP who takes the connection or the bandwidth from tier 2, like, will he provide me a better internet connection, like
No,
per se?
no, I don't mean that. In fact,
Okay,
it depends on how big the ISPs are. How
okay,
big the
okay,
ISPs are. Okay. So
okay. So,
a
bigger the
large,
ISP,
yeah.
lower the tier.
No, higher the tier.
Higher the
Yeah.
tier. Like
Yeah.
for when somebody
I
takes it from
mean,
tier, yes, sir.
yeah, yeah,
You say,
yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go.
so when somebody takes it from tier 2, that is a big ISP or a small ISP?
Well, you see,
Yes, sir.
like our IIGs, okay, they are
Okay, sir.
tier 2 level of ISPs. Okay, so they provide connection
Okay.
to tier 2 ISPs. But sometimes you may get directly connection from IIGs. I mean, some local ISPs. Okay, if it is a large
Yes.
ISP, when it is a large
Okay,
ISP,
sir.
it it can get connection to directly some IIGs. Okay, for
Okay, sir.
example, the Grameenphone or Ruby, they are ISPs, but they are large ISPs. They are directly connected to IIGs.
Okay.
Okay,
So, sir, IIG is tier 2. So,
tier two, yeah,
Grameenphone are connected to tier 2.
to tier two IIG, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
I
okay.
remember. I mean, long ago when we had the early days. Okay, we had only BTCL and Mango. Then Grameenphone had 450 Mbps from BTCL. Okay, and about 200 Mbps from Mango. We had only two IAG. Things are in terms of Mbps, you see, okay, in those days. So, uh,
Yes,
and
sir.
Mango could provide at least 100 Mbps then to Grameenphone using their satellite service. Okay, so uh, so that can help you get an idea how things are, how the capacity is distributed. Okay. Okay, so pretty much done. Actually, I have just one last slide. See, there are so two companies, the Summit Communication Fiber at Home, who have the license to develop backbone network nationwide. Okay, so uh, most of the upajilas, okay, are already connected. Okay, and different, I mean, thana levels are connected, so they have pretty good progress already. So optical fiber based connection has been laid throughout the country, and I mean, I would say their progress so far is not bad. Okay, so that will help, uh, I mean, good connection, I mean, good bandwidth reception at the suburb areas or rural areas. Okay. So gradually they are further growing. And they are called in our local terms used by our local authority BTRC, NTTN, Nationwide Telecommunication Transmission Network. Okay, so that's it for this presentation. We'll again meet tomorrow.
Inshallah, sir. Tomorrow morning, right, sir?
Tomorrow morning at 11:45.
Okay. Sir, সবাই তো present, তাই না, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Have a good night, sir. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.